What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the YouTube channel here at the Debbie Royale. We are back with another This or That series. You guys have liked these, and we've liked doing them. I think they're a lot of fun. We've been doing Debbie, Dynasty, and Rookie, and we are back with another Rookie. We're going Zach Charbonnet versus Achane, our guy for the Miami Dolphins. We're going to be looking at the running backs. So we're going to be looking at, hey, who should you be drafting in your rookie drafts going around here? We do know that there's rookie drafts still going. So we want to make sure we give you that change. And then, hey, these are also dynasty values. So they're a way to look at your dynasty value, how you value these guys. So let's dive into it after the intro. Hit that like and subscribe button. All right. Shout out to Christian for designing that new intro. But let's get into it. Let's talk about these guys, Achane and Charbonnet, and what we like from them. And I would say this, Achane was a big one in terms of where his draft capital was going to be, and he got it, right? So that's what kind of shot him up. Right now, his ADP, so if you didn't know these rookie drafts, kind of diving into them, Achane's, ADP is 112 running back 3, and then Zach Charbonnet is 201 running back 4, but I have seen them flipped. So really, it's a coin flip. It really depends on what you like from his profiles, what you expect from him, what their dynasty outlook looks like, and so forth. So this is kind of how your rookie drafts have gone. And based on how many we've done, this is kind of generally speaking where both of these guys are at. Going over where they're at in college is what we're going to do next. And we're going to have Christian talk about Charbonnet. Charbonnet is an interesting kind of production profile we have. But why don't you get into Zach Charbonnet from a college production viewpoint and what he kind of brought to the table?
Yeah, so early on in his career at Michigan, saw the field really early as a true freshman, 149 attempts, 726 yards, 11 touchdowns. Looked like he was going to be the face of that Michigan program. Things didn't really go his way in 2020. He didn't really see the field a whole lot, so he moved over to UCLA. And once he got in that Chip Kelly scheme, he was ultra productive, over 2,400 yards over the last 2 years, 27 touchdowns, and really kind of showed off his receiving ability. He accumulated, I think, 61 catches over those 2 years. So we definitely saw a more productive back, and most of that was just opportunity because we did see that early on as a freshman as well. We'll talk a little bit about what he does well as we get through this, but yeah, I mean, ultra productive. There was a reason, he was in discussion as he's not Bijan, but could he be the RB2 in this class? It didn't come to fruition, but it was pretty darn close, right?
Yeah, it was really close. And I have a hard time with Charbonnet because I'm a Michigan guy, as everybody knows that watch this channel, and he left us. But it's okay. We got Blake Corum there in this place. But yeah, he did. I thought it was surprising he didn't come out 2021. He went back because he wanted to get his receiving numbers up, and I think he kind of did. But we're going to dive into what that is moving forward. But let's go over real quick. So we'll talk about Achane's kind of college production. He played behind Isaiah Spiller, but he did produce behind Isaiah Spiller. So in 2021, 910 yards. From a pass catching, perspective, he has done well in that category. You see there with 24 receptions in 21, 22, he had 36 receptions. And I think the biggest thing about 2022 is it showed that he could maybe be that guy, that workhorse, that 3-down guy. Maybe he played 10 games, but he did get banged up. But he did have those 196 attempts, 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns, and he's a gamer. And I think the thing that stood out about him from guys that watch college football, Texas A&M was awful this year. He could have easily just hung it up. He got banged up at the end of the year and just said, I'm done. Like a lot of guys have kind of done. He didn't do that. He actually finished out the year and had one of his best games at the end of the year when they weren't eligible, like when they were just competing and kind of scrapping by. People were transferring out. People had the transfer flu going on where they weren't playing. You know what? Devon said, no, I'm going to go and I'm going to battle. So you did see that. So you like that about him. But from a production standpoint, he had his best year last year. Maybe not from an efficiency standpoint, but he did show he could have that volume. And that's something to like. And then he came in at 5'9", 188. So we're not talking about a smaller guy. There's been reports that he's up at 99, 192 in those type of areas. So let's get into kind of what we're seeing from these guys. I'm going to talk about Achane here in terms of what he does well. And the first thing, speed, right? 4.32 40, absolute just speed guy. And that's where he fits with Miami. So when we're talking about kind of where he got drafted, round 3, pick 84, he's got that speed. He's going to fit into that system. I think he went into like the perfect spot. That's what everybody talks about. That's why he got bumped up so much. I think he has really good burst, lateral agility, and vision in the open field. Like those are the things he does really, really well. From like a weaknesses standpoint, when we're talking about what, we're concerned about, I think size is the biggest one. Can we really, realistically, we're drafting him as running back 3 of this class, probably his ceiling, right, based on that size. And if you're nervous about that size, I think that's why you maybe pivot to different options there. Contact balance too. Like I don't know how much he's going to be able to take a hit and be able to break those tackles and kind of keep going and churning for yards. Like get him open space, do those type of things. Yes. But in terms of like contact balance, taking those hits and doing those things, I think that's a concern there. As far as the depth chart looks in Miami, Jeff Wilson Jr. is there, Raheem Mostert, they're both there. They're kind of be playing there. I think they're going to have a little bit more run than people expect in times of that. But in a modern NFL offense with what they have, I think he's going to be rotation. But if he gets that passing down work in PPR, that's what you're probably looking at for the 2023 outlook. Like, will he kind of get into that dynamic role, be that passing catch guy, and then like have running back 2 upside? I think overall that's what you're looking for from his profile, and that's what you like about him. Now, can he be an immediate producer? Probably, if Mostert gets hurt. And we've seen Raheem Mostert get hurt. So like that's kind of like the concern overall. But Charbonnet's got some concern as well because he got drafted by a team that not many expected to draft a running back day 2. So let's bounce over to Charbonnet.
Yeah, so Charbonnet, like we said, going RB4 201, but this is very much so a toss-up. In terms of what these two players do well, they really couldn't be more different. Charbonnet is definitely more of that between the tackles guy. He's definitely going to be able to eat up carries, and you're never going to be concerned about his size. From a speed perspective, he's fast for his size, but he doesn't have that game-breaking speed that Achane does. From a depth chart perspective, this is where, we talk about talent versus situation. Situationally, I think Achane is in a much better spot because Charbonnet is battling with Kenneth Walker, who had a good but kind of inefficient year. The Seahawks have kind of shown that they like to have multiple backs. I think they just kind of went best player available, but there have been reports now that Charbonnet could be the 1A to Walker's 1B. And I think we're going to see more of a thunder and lightning type of situation in Seattle. I'm not as concerned about where he fits in terms of pass catching work, though, because, we talked about how Charbonnet improved his ability to catch passes. I don't think he's a great pass catcher, but I also think that from a skill perspective and how he attacks the football, he is more refined than Kenneth Walker. Walker is very, very raw in that aspect, and he turned targets into big plays, and I think that adds value. But I think Charbonnet is the sturdier, the trusty, or the guy that it should be more trustworthy on the field. So from a 2023 outlook, this is the one that I think everyone is going to struggle with, right? You don't know how much of the workload he's going to get. I would project that he's still the 1B to start this season. And I think of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon as a role type of comparison where Charbonnet gets that Dillon workload, but probably later career Dillon. So the last couple of years where he does get quite a bit of run, and he's probably going to get the goal line carries. So I think you're looking at a guy that could have a nice 2023 and finish fairly highly in fantasy.
So I'm glad you're out of the pass catching thing. Like I think him and Walker are kind of a wash, like just based on what they can do in that offense. Like I think some people are propping up Charbonnet's pass catching ability. I don't know if you've watched the tape of Charbonnet's pass catching at UCLA. It wasn't like pass catching. It was a lot of dumps, a lot of screens, a lot of stuff and Walker can do that. Like, and so I like our comps where, I got kind of pushed back when I said it was AJ Dillon. Yeah, I agree. I think it is an Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon kind of situation. Like the only issue is Aaron Jones a little older. So we thought AJ Dillon maybe would take over and get that, and Aaron Jones wouldn't get that second contract, where Walker, he's actually, I wonder if Walker, I don't know the exact age.
I think he's younger.
Yeah, like it's gotta be pretty close because Charbonnet came out when he comes out. So like that is like I think the nerve-wracking thing I'm looking at in terms of what their age is. You have their age up or no?
They're the same age. They're both 22 years old.
Yeah. So like that, I think when you're looking at that comp between Jones and Dillon, you're like, wait, like we've always kind of expected Jones not to get that contract. Now he did. So that's what sucks about this, because you're thinking that how they're going to eat into their lineup. But there's some areas here with this. So like we're gonna pick now. And traditionally I make you go first, but I'm gonna go first in this one, just to switch it up, but also to like give you a little bit like context. I'm gonna go Devin Achane here. And part of it, and it's weird I'm saying this because like I was never really a big Achane guy. I think from a perspective of like dynasty, Achane could take over that backfield with Mostert and Jeff Wilson, the injury history that we've seen and kind of there. And he has a skill set with that speed, and he's in an offense I really like. So if he wasn't in an offense that I didn't think would know how to use him, I wouldn't touch him. But Tua there target his running backs more. If he does that, we'll see that there. I think they can scheme him open and scheme touches there. But again, and I think what makes me a little nervous, obviously, is Waddle and Hill, but they don't really have that third option. Cedric Wilson's not scaring me. And they didn't really get it. They didn't attack their tight end position either, really. Like Elijah Higgins, we like Dermot Smythe, like those guys. So maybe Achane can kind of assume that role of that third guy to get targets on this roster, and then you're excited there. But to me, it really comes down to Walker and Charbonnet are 22 and 22. And I like Walker a little bit more in terms of that volume in there. And that's what you're excited. Now, this is injury. I wouldn't say it's injury dependent, because if Walker goes down, Charbonnet is probably a running back one, right? Whereas if Mostert and Wilson go down, Achane's probably still a high end running back too. So you are buying into production wise. So it's very close. I'd lean Achane here, but it's not like I haven't taken both of these guys. But I'm going to leave Achane just based on his playmaking ability, his speed, and the offense that he's in.
Yeah. I like how you brought up the running back targets in Miami. Last year, running backs saw 113 targets in that offense. And, most of them did go to Mostert and Jeff Wilson. Now, if Achane is able to kind of take away a lot of that share, I think, that does give him a higher floor, because the way he's going to get those targets, Mike McDaniel's a wizard. So he's going to be out in space. He's going to average 10 yards per reception, and that's going to, really prop up his fantasy value. But I am going with Charbonnet here. As I look at it as a talent versus situation thing, and I do struggle with Achane's size. I think from a contact balance perspective, he had moments on his college film where he would break a tackle and then he would bust off a huge run. And that really helped out his yards after contact, deeper analytical numbers. But I don't think on a snap to snap basis he was any good at breaking tackles, and that was in the SEC. Yeah. Once he gets to the NFL, I do struggle a little bit, and I know he's been fairly healthy throughout his career. I do struggle a bit with that aspect of it. Now, I'm not projecting injuries, but if I'm going to pick a guy out of these two who might, risk that, I would pick Achane. So on the other side of things, I do think Charbonnet will get a lot of touchdown opportunities. I think the Seattle offense is not bought in as we are on Geno Smith. I do think that this offense is going to be schemed up very nicely. There are too many weapons at Geno Smith's disposal. And that means that I think Charbonnet could be potentially an 8 to 10 touchdown guy as a rookie. Yeah. And that's, if he does that, I think long term, he's earning more of the share. And if Walker continues to kind of be iffy, Walker was very much so a hot or cold runner. He would either break off a 10 to 15 yard run, or he would get hit behind the line of scrimmage and not be able to really make anything happen. I think Charbonnet kind of comes in and fixes that for that offense. So I think long term, I do like Charbonnet. I will say it's much, much closer post draft than it was for me pre draft. And I understand why these two are going back to back, but I'd lean Charbonnet on talent alone.
I think Charbonnet is the safer play, in my opinion, because I think that he's built in where he's AJ Dillon, but he could be Aaron Jones type volume. And I think that's how you have to look at it. Achane is the wild card. Achane's hey, do you think he could be a special weapon in McDaniel's offense? That's where that's where it is. If you think he can be that in Miami for 2 to 3 years, you look at both of these guys, that's what you're looking at. But I think watching their career arc is going to be interesting to see which guy is a better fantasy producer. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So, if you're on the rookie clock, I hope this helps you guys understand where you're at. And again, if you're picking at the and I think team makeup matters too. You're sitting at the 112, you're a contender. you might want to lean Charbs because maybe that is a guy that you can like lean on down the stretch. You're sitting at the 2-on-1, maybe like, you have a team that, but you have a ceiling play where you might be able to move them for value more. Like there's an interesting kind of team builds how you're looking at both these guys. But it's a fun one. So we appreciate you guys. Hey, and also I got to tell you, Underdog is our official sponsor now. So if you use Royale, ROYALE on Underdog, they will match it up to $100. Click the link below in the description, and come bet with us. We're going to be doing some underdog drafts, some best balls, stuff like that. But use our promo code. Give us a shout out. We appreciate that. So we will check you guys on the next one. Thank you guys for showing up.